Cup. This is Tool Time. Joining me is
Death Nella, and we are getting right into the action. Team Australia, Great Britain as well, already on the track for the 2018 JRDA World Cup. It is round robin day. We've got 30 minutes of play, and that was a fast one there. And it remains scoreless. There we go.
Absolutely. With this round robin, we've been hustling the whole day to get all of these teams in for the seeding for tomorrow. For Great Britain, we have 02 Dixon, number 03 Winspy, Gemma English, Jazz, Marnie Move Over, Roller Girl, Lady Macbeth, May Cause Mayhem, L Wolf, Judge Law, Lady Macbeth, T-Breaks, Hussey, Giraffe Jam, and till the end. And what am I seeing here?
And right now we have Mad Catter for Team Australia with the star and with lead. Meanwhile, number 19, Marnie Move Over for Great Britain is working on that Australian defense. Dips low to get by there on turn 2. We have 6 points scored by Mad Catter.
A back block called against Australia's jammer. That's going to make this a power jam for Team Great Britain. And Britain's jammer being brought back behind turn 3 through the pack.
And that's 5 points for Great Britain. Both teams getting on the scoreboard this jam.
Jammer re-engaged, but Australia's jammer standing in the box.
Right now they are in the straightaway coming up to turn 2. Turn 2 is where the penalty box is situated. Mad Catter back in play.
Excellent recycling by both teams here at World Cup.
And because of that lead loss, of course, when you have lead and you are sent to the penalty box, you lose lead. If the other jammer is ineligible to pick up lead, then it goes to a full 2-minute jam, and that is 4 points for Mad Catter.
All right, and an apex jump by Mad, putting another 4 points on the board. Excellent jam by Australia as they take the lead with a 14-point jam.
Score close at the end of that one. Great Britain 10, Australia 15. Tool Time, Death Nella joining you here. Of course, we do have the Twitch chat happening. Seeing lots of support for both teams. And we are so glad that you have chosen to join us here for the JRDA World Cup. Tool Time, it's been a fantastic start already.
Absolutely. We just had Team Europe go up against USA West. Excellent game there. What am I seeing here now, Death?
We have Red Rovich.
Trying to see Britain's jammer. That's 1606 Lady Macbeth for Britain.
That's 5 points there for Australia.
Multiplayer block called on Australia's pivot.
That's number 355 Elker Skelter.
Both teams still doing excellent work recycling. One of Australia's blockers going to the penalty box.
That's number 1407 Misconduct. And she did not get a misconduct call. Just not sure what she did get though.
Australia sending another blocker to the penalty box, but there may not be room.
There was a star pass there from Great Britain.
That's number 3, Winspy.
Remember this jam going a full, oh no, never mind. Red does still have lead. Being told to run it. Gets by the Great Britain blockers there on the outside. We'll see if it's all 4. It is 3. And a reminder at home that what you're looking for can be hard to see. A jammer has to pass the opposing blocker's hips. So sometimes it might look like their head is forward or their skate is in front. That does not count. You're looking for hips, passing hips.
Absolutely, and once the lead jammer has called off the jam, that first whistle, that stops the point score. So they've been using that to great effect here at Champs as well as World Cup. We have a quick call off.
Oh, there's a timeout, we're being told.
Called, yes.
So in the round robin play, each team does get a timeout. Oh, although I believe that was an official timeout. Officials can call a timeout at any point.
Absolutely want to make sure everything's up to date and square with everyone.
And safety being of the utmost important. We've seen on the Twitch chat a number of comments regarding body contact, and there are some strict rules on our officials. That's why there's 7 of them out there.
Absolutely, and these officials had to do a lot of work to get here. Speaking of work, what am I seeing?
Number 8, the jammer for Great Britain, picking up a lead.
That's Giraffic Jam.
And that is Britain's first lead of the game. And a cut track call to Team Australia. That will give Britain a power jam. Australia number 17, Ada Robertson.
Britain sending their pivot to the penalty box. That's number 162, May Cause Mayhem. Meanwhile, jammer engaged at the start of turn 3.
And right now, Great Britain only with 3 blockers out there on the track, up against Australia's 4 line.
Excellent recycling by Australia as Australia's jammer is out of the box.
Great Britain gets by after being knocked to the outside, picks up 4 points. And the Aussie contingent over on turn 4, losing it as number 17 gets by Ada Robertson. That was her initial pass. And
Britain calls it. No points on the board for Australia as Great Britain puts 13 points on the board. We have a 5-point difference in the game. As you said earlier, we are doing this round robin style, so this will be just 1 half to get points for seeding. Well, I'm sorry, wins and losses for seeding. But
yes.
What have you seen so far today, Nella?
Oh, well, we've seen some, we're seeing the top seeds really emerging. USA West, USA East, and you know what? We kind of saw that all weekend long at JRDA Champs for those who were watching, because so many of their skaters were also skating there. So they're used to this venue, they're used to this track. That's the other thing we have to remember. Other teams coming in are still getting used to the space as well. And back to the action right now.
Right now we have tea breaks for Britain going up against Crazy Daisy for Australia. No lead jam as of yet with 30 seconds into this jam. Amazing blocking. Spoke too soon. We've got tea breaks for Great Britain with your lead jam.
That's how it goes in Derby. You often speak too quickly because things move so fast. There we have Crazy Daisy out of the back of the pack. Now getting a little fast there in turn 3.
Yes, the team Australia trying to speed up the pack so the jammer can't get the points. She calls it.
And we'll see what that amounts to. I see some fingers up in the air from the referees. That's a 2 for Great Britain, 0 for Australia. And if you're wondering, because we do have some folks who are new to Derby joining us on this Twitch stream, thank you so much for doing so. We are counting the scores by looking at the jammer referee's fingers after each scoring pass.
Absolutely, and we have a timeout by Team Britain.
I'm being told that there will be a penalty for Great Britain starting in the box, or looks like that's Team Australia.
We'll find out as soon as we can. But again, I'm Tool Time, and joining me is Death Nella, with our 4th day in a row for roller derby. A lot of fun had today.
And not just any roller derby, junior roller derby. We're seeing the best, the brightest, the future of the sport. And if you are just tuning in, thank you for that. We are watching Team Australia take on Team Great Britain. The score ridiculously close with still 20 minutes, almost 21 minutes left.
And an excellent timeout by Great Britain as they try to figure some things out. We've seen a lot of that this weekend as teams are calling timeouts just to refocus and recenter their teams. Right now, we have a power start for Great Britain.
Yeah, you can see, well, there you can see on the camera there that the Great Britain pivot has her toe on the line.
As number 26, T-Breaks, gets your lead jam for Great Britain.
And that seemed to help T-Breaks there, having that pivot lineup there, was able to get power and explosiveness now coming out of the pack. Team Australia's jammer, that's number 26, now standing. That's Crazy Daisy. I believe that was the call earlier that tied up the official timeout.
And I wish Bobby Narco, who will be joining us later, was here, because Jammer 26 for Australia is going up against Jammer 26 for Great Britain.
Oh yeah, he's a numbers guy.
He does love those things.
All right, here on turn 4.
A little
lane
assist
seems
by
to be
Australia.
Yeah.
We're opening up that lane on the outside for Team Australia. Skater down.
But a multiplayer call
yes,
on number
multiplayer block call.
04, Princess Jam Slam.
5 more points put on the board. 4 points. Thank you for T-Breaks, who had a power start at the beginning.
Great Britain still with lead. Australia now out on the initial pass. For those at home, your first trip through the pack is not for points, it's for lead. And so if your jammer's cold, that's sometimes what it's called, if your jammer's cold, the other team will decide to keep lapping you.
Absolutely, and that lead jammer status definitely comes in handy. We've seen a lot of jammers making way through the pack on the first one, getting a couple of points, seeing the other jammer coming in, and then calling it off so they can stop the point spread from the other team.
And we do have some great conversation happening on our Twitch chat. People asking who T-Break skates for. Right here on the announcer table, we are just being handed rosters because of the speed of this round robin. So any of that information, if you can chat with one another, greatly appreciate it. We do have a track cut call on Australia's Rumble Bee.
Absolutely, whoa, never mind. We have a change of fortunes as Britain sends their jammer to the penalty box. That's 16:06.
And of course, jammers do not have to sit for the full 30 if there's that switch out, because they're released the second the other jammer sits down, and then that jammer only has to sit for the same amount of time as the first jammer.
An excellent start, and we have, yes, it looks like she's going back to the penalty box for a track cut. That's going to make this a power jam for Britain.
Oh, big hit on Britain's jammer there.
16:06, Lady Macbeth, who will have a 30-second power jam until Australia's jammer is back up.
Yeah, that was Australia's pivot there, number 242, Stockwell with that hit.
Excellent hits on both sides as yes, we have a cover pass. It is successful. That's off to number 3 for Great Britain. That's Wince Pie.
And that's the second star pass for Great Britain. We'll talk about that in the break between jams.
Jammer is engaged in the pack, finds a hole on the inside, gets through. Number 33 for Australia, doing some great defense. That's Tara McAvoy.
And that's 4 points for Australia.
Britain sending a blocker to the penalty box. What are we seeing now, Nella?
Oh, I was just going to say there is no lead. Just a reminder, because we had those penalties earlier. That means this jam is going to end in 5 seconds. That's a full 2 minutes of action out there.
Absolutely, and for top-notch teams, because these are, as you said, the best and brightest from these countries around the world. We are seeing a very low point spread between these two teams, very low points scored.
And that was a net loss there, as we sometimes say, just because they both scored 8. You can call it a wash as well. But still, their point totals going up. And Tool Time, you mentioned earlier that this seeding is about wins. There can be ties in this round robin. You could possibly see a tie. Normally, roller derby will go into an overtime jam, but that won't happen today. All right, we have number 106 for Australia.
And that's Matt Catter.
Matt Catter jamming in the first jam, a big scoring jam for him earlier.
And Britain down 2 blockers as Britain's jammer is getting recycled. That's 143, Marnie Muvova.
And we have 5 points for Australia.
And Australia, courtesy of Mad Catter, with another apex jump on the inside.
But we have a track cut called on Great Britain jammer. Marnie, move over.
And that's working out for Mad Catter, as Mad Catter, with the 15-point jam so far, regains the lead for Team Australia.
Yeah, Great Britain doing its best there to recycle up, reforming in front of the pack.
Coming in hot off of turn 3, doesn't do it legally, but so gets recycled to the back of the pack. But Britain's jammer is standing with 50 seconds left in this half, but Mad Catter will call it to get a power start for Team Australia.
And a 25-point jam with that to end.
Absolutely, and Team Australia, when you see them going around turn 4, right behind the announcer's booth, and they're letting their presence be known for us house announcers over there. Definitely a lot of excitement over there.
And we have just a little information from our Twitch chat. We mentioned earlier that someone was asking who T-Breaks skates for, and we're told it's North Devon Roller Derby. Like to give shout-outs where possible. Okay, back into play. Great Britain, right? Marnie, move over. Now out of the box.
And number 1300, Red Robach.
And Marnie move over out of the box and into lead, but getting chased down by Red. And the pack speeding up as well a little bit there, going into turn 4.
Britain forming a wall behind to hold up Australia's jammer. Ref has a bit of a tumble, just shows the level of derby we have right now. 2 points on the board for Great Britain, 3 to Australia, and Australia maintains the lead. Just 14 minutes left in this one game.
And we can call that sometimes stealing a point, because in that case, Australia didn't have lead, but they were able to squeak by with more points. And that's where you set up in the pack, right? Where you have the Great Britain blockers and the Australia blockers can really play into it.
Absolutely. Right now, both jammers engaging in the pack. We have Ada Robinson for Australia, getting blocked on the inside at turn 1. Britain trying to make something happen against a strong 4-person wall from Australia.
Wow. Meanwhile, Britain with the two wall there, number 2-4.
I'm sorry, Jurassic jammer for Britain. I'm sorry, I was going for the jammer and you got that, so. Calls the jam. Britain held scoreless on that one.
Action happening so fast here. Yes, we are into the 13th minute. And for those at home, normally in Derby when you have a half, which in this case we don't have an official half, the jammer referees will switch teams. It makes sense. You don't want to have the same jammer referee the whole game with one team. And so in this case, that is happening. It's just happening over in the center of the track quite quickly.
Absolutely. And right now, Lady McDeath for Great Britain taking the line. Both jammers engaging in the pack, who line up on the jammer line. And that looks like number 226, Tough Cookie, if I'm seeing this right. I may be wrong.
Meanwhile, Lady McDeath called on a high block, sent to the penalty box, a jammer penalty there for Great Britain.
And wrong I was. That was number 26 for Team Australia, Crazy Daisy.
Out with lead now. Already 30 seconds chewed up on that jammer clock. And the pack moving forward, making that trip around even longer for the jammer.
Well, with top-level athletes like this, for some teams, that would definitely start wearing them down, but these athletes haven't been worn down all weekend, as we saw earlier with Team USA West and East, who have been playing all weekend.
To be young again, of course. Junior roller derby, it does not mean that their experience level's junior by any means. Some of these skaters out here only skating 14 months, others 8-10 years to a time.
And we've already seen the junior leagues affecting the adult leagues. A number of teams with aged out skaters have gone on to help the adult leagues, and we're going to see some very new stuff in the coming years. So it's very exciting watching the future of roller derby right here. 5-point jam for Australia as they keep gaining that lead. 11 minutes left in this game.
Red Road sent to the jammer line for
both teams down their pivots, so there may not be a cover pass on this one as Australia engages with red going up against Marnie Muvova.
Oh, and we do have lead assessed to Red Roach.
I didn't want to try it if I wasn't sure, so thank you, Ella.
That's what I heard the house announcers say, otherwise known as Red.
And we have a multiplayer block called on Britain's blocker.
That's number 1-2 Jazz.
Green pivot coming out of the box. Red Roach coming back around for another point pass.
Meanwhile, Britain's jammer getting held up there by number 355.
Elter Skelter.
Yes.
Twice in just a few seconds, we said big hit by number 10, Jimmy English. That's going to be one to pay attention to the rest of this route, as it seems like Jimmy English likes to hit folks.
And now we're seeing both jammers getting knocked out and dragged back. In roller derby, you must re-enter appropriately,
absolutely.
legally. Yeah. And that can sort of change depending on where the pack is and how things move. So we're not going to get into all that detail just yet.
But we will point out that Marnie Muvova no longer with the star cover on the helmet. That is what we call a star stash or a cover stash. That's a way that that jammers use to confuse blockers to try to get by. In the meantime, what did we just see?
Wow, so Team Australia deciding to give away lead status with a star pass, opting instead for the points. Of course, when you do pass the star, you give up your lead. You give up the ability to call off the jam.
But it is an excellent way to put on more points with a 14-point jam. That star has been passed off to number 60, from Australia. And Britain putting some points on the board as Australia flirts with the century mark with just under 9 minutes left in the game.
And that was an 18-point jam. And yes, the Aussie crowd, very loud here in the venue today. We are in Feasterville, Pennsylvania.
Here at JRDA World Cup, a first for me, and our newest announcer, Death Nella, doing a great job.
And we do have Neil Morris on the Twitch chat saying Red Roach is from Newcastle Juniors. His name is Owen, and it is pronounced Red Roach. Woohoo! So now we know.
Thank you. In the meantime, number 2 for Australia, getting the lead jam. That's Rumble B going up against T-Breaks. Australia sending a blocker to the penalty box as T-Breaks completes the initial pass.
This has been an intense game so far, and it looks like Rumblebee asking for a call-off while down on the inside.
So for those of us just joining roller derby, you are allowed to pick your own name in most cases. And I wanted to point that out because I was looking at T-Breaks, who is our last jammer, and I wasn't quite getting it until I thought T-Break.
Oh, that's yeah, Great
Right?
Britain. I heard something about people in that area of the world liking tea, but I could be wrong.
But it is still a fun, like the play on words definitely keeps us on our toes here. Right now, Giraffic Jam for Great Britain taking the line. Australia getting your lead jam, and who is that?
That's number 106, Mad Catter. We've seen grab lead and grab many multi-scoring jams as well.
Australia's blocker out of the penalty box. Australia now back up at full strength and engaging the pack. And Australia calls it holding Britain 2-0.
And we've said it before, but having lead allows you to control the game. And here we're seeing both teams, when the pack's starting to speed up, their blockers separating from one another. They're not speeding up in their tripods, and then that is also quite a difficult skill to do. So in that case, whoever's ahead as a jammer could have possibly an easier time being able to weave through. Now, that doesn't mean they won't get recycled. They won't get that tripod reforming at the front. But it is an interesting observation. And wow, they cleared the line there for number 1300.
Well, that's Roach, Red Roach, as we were talking about earlier. And thank you for watching on twitch.tv, giving us that information. We sure do appreciate it. Keep it going.
Meanwhile,
what am I missing?
Lady Macbeth is out fast, chasing down Red Roach. And the pack speeding up once again seems to be the style of play for this game.
Red Roach just tapping on the brakes on the back of the pack. 5 points on that jam. Excellent work.
And that was a fast-moving pack. So as we talked about Tool Time, this round robin, 30 minutes, is to see for seeding tomorrow. But what they're also getting to know is the style of play that teams are bringing. They're getting a little bit of a taste. We're seeing the speed packs here, whereas earlier we saw some grinded out derby, I like to call it, where you have those solid tripods and the jammers have to push and push.
Absolutely. Right now we have number 17 for Australia. That's Ada Robinson going up against Marnie Movova.
Oh, but Marnie Movova getting called to the penalty box. Oh, and Ada Robertson there. So that'll be a quick switch off.
And I didn't quite catch it, but this may be a 2-minute jam. I don't know if an initial pass was completed yet or not. We'll know soon enough.
For Ada Robertson, I do believe that was the case, but we'll have that confirmed. Yes, so she's on an initial pass right now. No lead assessed there. And right now we see Marnie move over, has taken off the star cover, so there will be no lead assessed here.
And that works out just fine for us with 4.5 minutes left in this game. Australia whittling away, getting the lead higher and higher as they're at 110. And be sure to stick with us as we have Team USA going up east, going up against Team Europe. That's going to be a good one.
We're seeing some bridging happening here with number 03, Wince Pie. We've seen Wince Pie with a star earlier with some of those star passes. And now it's slow. So earlier we saw...
Oh, big hit from Britain's blocker on the inside of turn 3. That's number 18. That's Elwolf. Britain sending a blocker to the penalty box. That's number 19, Judge Law.
And we do hear some singing. I believe that's Team Canada, very close to the announcer booth here, but action underway. Star pass from Great Britain there.
Excellent jam by Australia. 13 points on the board with just over 3 minutes left in the half.
Australia's coach out talking to the referee, not sure what's happening there.
And as we said, we have Team Canada with getting ready. We saw them early this morning against Team USA. An excellent game. This one turning out just as good as T-Breaks takes the line for Great Britain. Excellent recycling and blocking by Australia. And T-Breaks gets the lead jam.
Sure does, and that's a first lead jam for Great Britain in a while. But now's the time to take the opportunities.
Out there for Australia, so 26 and 26.
But with a quick star pass over to number 60 there, that's Yana. And that'll force the call off. For those at home wondering why you possibly wouldn't pass the star right away off the line, you can. I have seen some teams do it to try to limit the other team from scoring, but you do give up the opportunity to get lead.
Absolutely, and in games like this, especially in Australia's case, you want to maintain that lead so you can control the points scored by the other side. We've seen that Britain hasn't been putting as many points on the board so far, and Australia's been getting ahead, but right now we'll see if Traffic Jam can make something happen out there.
Gets knocked to the inside. Red Roach gets knocked to the inside by the Great Britain pivot number 2-4, Lady Macbeth. Who
gets your lead jam. So
Traffic Jam getting lead, yep. Oh! We have a back block call on Red Roach. That'll send him to the penalty box. 5 points for Great Britain.
And this could work out in Traffic Jam's favor as she starts putting some points on the board.
And the crowd, you can hear everyone's feet stomping on the ground here.
Absolutely, very energetic crowd this early morning, and some of these parents have been here since Thursday and Friday, so
yeah,
we definitely got energy to burn.
And right now, Red Roach out on the track. And I see here that Power Jam is over. We have the Great Britain pivot, number 2-4. I was just mentioning her earlier.
And that's Lady Macbeth.
She's now in the penalty box on a forearm, and another penalty called on Great Britain, number 1-2. Jazz did not see the call there.
And that's 5 more points on the board. Amazing job by Great Britain gaining some momentum over Australia, outscoring them on that one.
For sure, Great Britain picking up 15 points for that. Now we'll see if there is another jam. Both teams, I believe that is, well, we'll see. The way Derby ends can sometimes be a little unofficial.
Well, with the round robin that we're having here today, we want to try to keep these games moving so we can get seeding ready for tomorrow. But as I said, we're going to have Team USA against Team Europe. Team Europe, we saw it the last game. So this is turning out to be an excellent day of roller derby.
Yeah, and tool time, it is moving fast. We're almost seeing only a minute between each games because the other teams are warming up on the track behind us, and then they're moving on here. So that was an incredible game. Australia 122, Great Britain 76. I'm Deathnella, joined by Tool Time, and we'll be right back with some more great action from the 2018 JRDA World Cup.